So every TV business I talk to thinks that this is going to be a bumper year for television advertising.
It already has been. It made everyone's January.
So tell us about what advanced TV is going to add to the mix this year. What's new that we can do that we couldn't do during the last cycle?
Well, what's new is scale, right? So we haven't had the kind of scale in advanced TV for any kind of targeted television, whether it was addressable or streaming before, and now we do. Campaigns, particularly those who are running national campaigns, but there's only one national race. The rest of them are down ticket. So they're state at the largest, and then they're down into congressional districts or state ledge districts. So scale is really important, and it's harder to get everywhere. People now are approaching targeted television writ broad. Not only, the most sophisticated campaigns are seeing it not only to add on, but to thinking about message sequencing and message variation and customization. And as we get closer to November 3rd, to the election day itself, we're going to see a lot more increase in the creative optimization in the channels that can best support it, like streaming TV.
So there's lots I'd love to unpack there. So first of all, this increase in scale over the last 4 years, what's driven that? Which platforms have really delivered more scale into the market?
It's a combination of platforms. It's not just one, and it can't be. For any campaign, it's going to vary a lot by district. There are still several congressional districts where high-speed data is not available. So those are very different kinds of markets, and so your media plan's going to vary. So what you're finding is that media buyers and their expertise has never been more needed, because you have to be able to customize it for every race.
So in terms of how advertisers are going to be able to leverage these capabilities, what can we now do at scale that was hard 4 years ago? You mentioned some treatments and approaches.
Sure.
What are the kind of common uses of advanced advertising around political?
Sure. So before, when you had a media plan for linear or broadcast, it was just the broad demographics, right? And you wouldn't be able to match it up necessarily against the voter file. And now you can. And now you can not only take the voter file, which every candidate is allowed to have, which is 280 million people in the United States who are over the age of 18. Every brand would love to have it, but advocacy groups and political campaigns are permitted use cases for the voter file. So they get every person in the United States over the age of 18 with the permission to be able to use that data, and they can then augment their linear buy in every single, with the right mix of the platform partners, whether that is addressable, whether it's someone through an ampersand or Comcast, whether it is OTT or streaming, and they're in the digital video. And the loss of YouTube for targeted inventory has driven a lot of the change in the market this cycle. Because you used to be able to, campaigns, it's very easy on Google to be able to send in a custom audience and deploy a digital video campaign on YouTube. And when that policy changed, it was announced in November, it took effect in January, on January 7th, it took away a lot of the targeted inventory for video for campaigns. And that has been driven a lot and increased, in fact, the adoption we're seeing for these other more sophisticated platforms for video.
But what does LiveRamp do specifically in this space, in the political space?
We support a wide range of political actors. We're working with some of the most sophisticated campaigns directly where we're embedded. We're working with some of the large, more sophisticated political action committees. We're working with political media buyers and digital agencies. We're working with very sophisticated modeling and analytics shops in the political space. And then we're working with the voter file vendors, which with their very unique asset, and helping them to deploy that data throughout the ecosystem for digital, social, and television targeting.
There's been a certain amount of controversy about political advertising in some arenas. I particularly think, obviously, about online advertising. Yep. Is TV free from these concerns?
It's not. Currently, for broadcasters, they have to go with the lowest unit rate. And the streaming providers do not need to adhere to that. So it's not, but it's also, they're nowhere near the same size as the broadcaster. So people can talk a little bit about the field, but it's not, you're not comparing apples to apples. It's very different. For digital video, I think that the most sophisticated campaigns are approaching video, whether it is across the lean back broadcast versus targeted versus digital video feeds, in a much more integrated way. They're customizing the creative, but they are approaching it, they're customizing and the placement for every campaign, but they're approaching it at a holistic level and thinking about the arc of the storytelling. And I think that's going to be, one of the lessons coming out of this cycle is how savvy one needs to be about the choices, because there are a lot more levers to pull than there have been in the past. LiveRamp to your question, LiveRamp enables the connection of data into all of these channels and allows campaigns to be sophisticated in their approach to audience-based delivery for political campaign messages.
Do you think that political campaign groups, et cetera, are geared up to take advantage of these opportunities? There's been a lot of change, as you say. There's a lot of sophistication required on the part of the planners and buyers. Have the buyers caught up with the potential of advanced television in the political space? I
think it varies, but yes. I mean, we just had a panel here at Ramp Up where we talked about the election 2020 and how the media mix has changed. I think that the buyers who are the most sophisticated do have direct integrations with LiveRamp, so they're able to leverage that targeting and that ecosystem on behalf of their clients. Those who are smaller, who are just doing onboarding, who don't have the ability to send into all these premium destinations, who don't have the ability to blend data assets in a first or second party environment, who don't have the ability to access the data, they're more limited in what they're able to do, and it's harder for them to make the promise or realize the promise of targeted TV at scale. So I think there is a range of adoption, but we're seeing far more of it than we have in the past.
So this is clearly going to be a bumpy year, and it sounds like it's going to be an exciting one in all sorts of ways.
I think so.
What happens next? During the next presidential cycle, what other advances do you envisage in the advanced TV market that will transform TV advertising once again in time for 2024?
It's a good question. The tip of my tongue response is I think the regulatory environment is going to look different for 2024, and I think even perhaps for 2022. And even in this cycle, we saw changes in the ecosystem and the platform partner mix and the options for campaigns mid-cycle. And so that the reality shifting beneath you makes it hard to plan, and that's had an outsized impact on this cycle. I think for the next one, regulators are going to be under a lot of pressure to think about streaming environments and think about that kind of, to think about that platform and the options and how different or similar it is from broadcast. The world has changed and it's a really complex ecosystem. I think we all need to do more to help regulators understand the moving parts of it. I know we are trying to do our part in Washington to help.